Organic is now ubiquitous throughout the supermarket and through other categories. So you go in and you can buy organic bedding. You can buy anything from organic t-shirts to organic sunscreen to hair care. It's not just food.
All right, we're here with Matt. Nice to meet you, Matt. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Hope. Appreciate it, and look forward to talking with you and your listeners.
Yes, me too. So I would love to start. I typically use the or have the how I got here stories for the end, but I feel like we need to lead with this just so everybody can learn what you do, this company that you've built from the ground up. So can you just give us kind of your background and how you got into being this pioneer that you are in the agriculture field?
Yeah, no problem. So I am a fourth generation Florida citrus grower, seventh generation Floridian, which is a little hard to believe. We started Uncle Matt's in June of 1999. We are 25 years old this year, which is, I guess, why we get the pioneer tag. We were organic before the USDA organic seal existed.
Wow.
Yeah, so kind of crazy. And today, I mean, we started with just one item, pulp-free organic orange juice. And today we have over 20 different items sold nationwide. You can even find us in Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico. So we're probably 20,000 stores by now.
That's
But great.
awesome.
So it's a fun business. It's something we really love. It's rooted in agriculture with my great grandfather and grandfather and their love for all things ag. And then we put our organic spin on it when I took over and came into the business in the early 90s.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. And I know, so your great grandfather was started this, but he also was doing it without pesticides and chemicals. I feel like this was kind of like
Yeah,
he was kind of ahead of his time, right?
sure. So my great granddad and grandfather both farmed before pesticides were invented. So after the 40s, after World War II, you had a flood of new stuff that came out of that era. And so everybody that farmed prior to that, it really was organic
Gotcha.
farming. They just
Hmm.
didn't call it organic. And so that
Hmm.
was one funny story with my granddad when I first started thinking about Uncle Matt's and starting an organic orange juice business. I asked him about farming organic and can we do that in Florida. And this was, late 19, probably 96, 97. And he was basically offended. He said, of course, you weren't alive, but, we farmed, we were great farmers without pesticides prior
Right.
to them being invented. And yeah, absolutely, we can do it. And, he believed in his heart that we should go back to a lot of those methods
Mhm.
and the tree would be better, the soil would be better, and ultimately the fruit that would come from it would be better. So he got excited when that opportunity came. And so that really excited myself. And often on the Uncle Matt's journey, we went.
Yeah. Well, so I guess then the organic farming back in the day was literally just farming. Like farming was just farming and you didn't have all the chemicals. And
Yeah, yeah. I
so,
mean, they relied on cover crops. They
right.
grew cover crops in the middle to help, have their own green fertilizer. They
Hmm.
did composting. They composted a lot of manure and put it out. So yes, a lot just more simple practices that
Hmm.
were abundant for them. But today, a lot of farmers don't use them.
Right, right. What do you see? I mean, you've been in the game for a while, obviously your family has. What have you seen change? Like with the introduction
Mhm,
of, granted, obviously I know that started before you started this business, the introduction of pesticides and all that. But what
mhm.
have you seen has been the biggest shifts in terms of like the quality and the things that are coming out with the introduction of the chemicals and the pesticides and all that?
Well, the biggest thing is just it's a more shift from quality to more quantity,
Right.
right? And so synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, all those things were invented because they wanted to produce more per acre,
Hmm.
not necessarily because they wanted to produce higher quality per acre. And so there was this sort of arms race around production, and that's really what conventional ag is, more production based, where organic, while we would love to also have, higher production, but quality is really where organic farming sits. It's a slower, the fertilizers break down slower, the crops aren't as stressed as a synthetic crop would be. They're not going to be pushed as hard. We don't have near as much vegetative growth as you will have in a conventional growth. And so, what does that vegetative growth, the high, trying to go after high yields do? It stresses that tree. It attracts more pests and disease. And so you kind of get caught up on this cycle. And that's what my granddad said. Hey, when we moved to chemicals and synthetics, we really started going, pushing towards production, and it invited a lot more pests and disease. And so then what do you have to do? Then they brought in more pesticides and things to control, and fungicides to control those diseases. So he just kind of joked, you got on this combine, and you're kind of on the treadmill.
Vicious cycle.
A vicious cycle. And so he was excited to say, you know what, let's go back and do cover cropping. Let's do compost. Let's do, fish emulsion, do botanicals for spraying for pests, try to keep as many friendly pests alive to control pest pressure. Let's try and build as healthy of a soil that's rich in nutrients, that can hold water capacity, that's building organic matter. And so that can naturally feed the tree. So you don't always have to just, NPK, and you're going after it that way. Now, that was his vision, and we've carried that for 25 years since we started.
That's amazing. So what do you see as the big, I mean, obviously the quality, like we're talking about the quality, but why does organic matter?
So for us as a dad, when I started looking at the organic thing in the very beginning and looking at organic farming and comparing it, I thought, I want to leave the earth a better place. I want to farm better for the next generation. And if I can do that farming organically, then that made sense for me. And also just pesticides, when you look at the label and you look at the skull and crossbones, it just kind of makes you stop, like, all right, I'm going to spray that on my crop. I get it.
Right.
It's going to help to fend off this disease or that pest. But it just made me think, can I do it without having to put the skull and crossbones on the soil or onto the tree? And that was a challenge for us. And a lot of people said, hey, it's really tough, especially in Florida, to do it with our climate being subtropical, with all the disease and pest pressure that love to live, as well as people love to move to Florida, so do the pest and disease. But if we can do it here, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're a testament to that. What do you see? Do you see any like trends in organic farming? Obviously, over the last handful of years, we've seen a lot more organic brands and farms offering like organic versus conventional, so what do you see as the trends moving forward?
Well, I think the younger generations care more about the health of of their own personal health and what they're putting in their body, and then also the health of the planet. So they're more aware of, okay, how can I make a difference? And the choices of when I go to any store, whether it's I'm buying clothes, I can make a statement, or I'm buying food, between health and the environment, I think they're more aware. So you see trends. Organic continues to grow. It's not rapid growth, but it's just a steady growth every year. And some categories have penetrated more than others. So like when you go into the grocery store, spinach, spring mix, all of those packaged salads, it's about 15% have penetrated into that marketplace. When you look at milk and dairy, it's probably 5-6%. Some other things, juice, 1-2%. So, I think things continue to progress. Baby foods, much higher. Nothing but the best for baby. People are really concerned. Young moms are concerned about pesticide residues and those kind of things. So I think, organic is now ubiquitous throughout the supermarket and through other categories. So you go in and you can buy organic bedding. You can buy anything from organic t-shirts to organic sunscreen to hair care. It's not just food.
Right.
So the more those other industries grow, the more consumers get educated about the benefits of organic. They see the quality of the products. So I continue to see it doing well.
Yeah. No, I think that's encouraging to hear. I think the other thing people, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and this could be a naive question for someone who's not an expert in agriculture and organic stuff, but I know, a lot of people, it's, I would buy organic, but it's more expensive and they worry about because there's a higher price tag. Do you see like the way things are trending? And like you said, it's kind of this slow, steady trickle. It's not like a big blood, but do you see that affecting prices moving forward? Like, will that, if there's more organic options, do you think that will affect how, pricing and?
Absolutely. Any market that grows, what ends up happening is you get more efficient in that market. So in distribution and manufacturing, kind of the critical mass that you need to lower costs that typically are really difficult. So instead of shipping, 1 or 2 pallets, you're now able to ship a full truckload. And the cost of that is much lower than just doing what they call in the industry LTL, less than the load. So that's a very simple example. If, hey, now a lot more people are buying organic, I'm able to ship a truckload into Publix instead of 2 or 3 pallets. So that helps save me money.
Yep.
I can then promote more, more capabilities to lower my price to be more competitive. Because yes, organic is more expensive. It's a lot more smaller cottage industry than its conventional counterparts. Surprisingly, some of those organic inputs, they cost a lot of money too. You can't just take the shortcut. You can't just abandon the property and say, hey, this is organic, Mother Nature, take over. You still have to feed the soil. And a lot of times you have to start over because you're starting with a soil that's been depleted of things because of a lot of herbicides have been put on it or pesticides. And you have to start, from scratch and build the soil back up.
Right. Yeah. And that actually leads me to my next question, because I wanted to ask that when I started this podcast a couple years ago, I had a guy come on and we talked a little bit about regenerative farming, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it too, because that is a big issue and it is affecting, I mean, just, talking about conventional produce, like it's affecting the nutritional density of the food we're eating, right? So I'd love to hear what you're seeing in terms of regenerative agriculture and how we can potentially shift the quality of the stuff we're growing in this country.
Yeah, so back to just production versus quality, right? And organic is more tied to the natural method of growing, more like what Mother Nature wants you to do. So just by that, you will slow the tree down. You will slow the plant down. And when you do that, it takes its energy. Instead of trying to be vigorous and grow more leaves and grow taller, it is bringing in nutrients. And so it's putting those excess nutrients into whatever that end product is, whether it's an apple, an orange, a banana. So that's why you'll see studies where organic farming has a little bit higher percentage, of bricks in our world, which is percent soluble solids, percent sugar, natural sugar. So it'll be a little bit more nutrient dense. It'll taste a little bit better. And in a perfect world, that's what we would like to duplicate over and over again from organic farming versus conventional. In not all cases, some places it's the rootstock, or it's the variety, it's the climate, it's the soil. It drains better. It's a little heavier soil there. But on average, in theory, organic will yield you higher antioxidants, a little bit more bricks, a little bit more nutrient density, just because that plant is not growing near as fast or try to have near as much vigor as its conventional counterpart.
Right. Well, I think going back to what you were saying earlier, I like that you were talking about how like the plant is stressed and that's what attracts, more. But and I think we can all understand that, because you think about a human body. When our human body is stressed, that's how we get sick. So it's the same principle.
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels between human health and tree health. I'm just going to use tree because we're in citrus, or plant health, I should say. And now we're finding out in humans, where is our immune system start? It starts in the gut, right? So, and what happens when we take antibiotics? Well, it wipes out a lot of your good gut bacteria. So you got to, eat yogurt, eat fermented foods, so some of those things, so you can now get your immune system go back up and get your gut in the right order. Well, the soil is the same way. And it's proven when you go out there and you spray Roundup herbicide and you kill weeds, it kills a lot of the friendly bacteria. It you'll wipe out a bunch of different things. You'll have to start back over. So what does that tree do? It struggles to get as much synthesis with its roots in the soil to pull in the zinc, the manganese, the boron, all these little things that help its own immune system stay turned on and fight disease and pest, and also, grow a healthy, piece of fruit. So it's very interesting as we see both dynamics. You see what's happening in modern medicine, and then you also see it in conventional agriculture. And there's two forces, right? There's eat healthy, eat organic, take supplements, exercise, versus just take pills, and we'll solve everything from medicine. Don't worry about what you have to eat.
Right.
And the same in agriculture.
Right.
It's the same philosophy that we're fighting.
For sure. Well, I mean, I think if everybody listening is wondering if you should eat organic or not, I mean, I think that's enough reason right there. I mean, it's like, do you want to eat the most nutritionally dense food and the food that is, has the healthy bacteria and all the things intact? I mean, I think that's a reason enough to pay a little bit more for,
And if you look at also every year USDA data around pesticide residues on just produce, just start with produce. Organic by far has the lowest pesticide residues on any of the products. And so, why is that important? Because, well, guess what? If you ingest some of that pesticide residue, it gets down in your gut, guess what happens? Things get bound up, things die off, and you got to continually replace. And the same with GMOs, right? So genetically modified food, genetically modified corn, the body it doesn't react and digest it the same as a regular corn, organic grown corn. So, that's why I pay more. If you came into my house, 90+% of our stuff is organic.
Yep.
We believe in it. And, I one of my goals, I want to live to be 100. People are like, why do you want to live to be 100? Well, I want to impact my future generations, right? I want to impact them as best I can, teach them, the ways of life and the experiences that I've learned. I'm 53, so I'm more than halfway there, but I'm not going to get there if I don't eat right, I don't exercise, I don't take care of myself. And so that's very important to me. And the first step is, what am I fueling my body with every day?
Totally.
Food is fuel, and you are what you eat. So
yeah, and the quality matters. And I mean, I think you were talking about how, before the 1940s, like organic wasn't a thing because they didn't use any pesticides or anything. So it wasn't even a thing. And I think, we hear so much like, oh, well, my parents ate this and this and this, and they lived to be, well, yeah, like they were exposed to so many fewer chemicals and things in their food and pesticides. I mean, it's not,
And I don't want to say it as like I'm demonizing conventional farmers in that industry. I really just want to say the highlight of, I believe organic is a better option. I'm happy for any farmer to make a living.
Sure.
And for Americans to have choices of what food they want to choose. I'm going to try to tell you the benefits of why I think you should choose this, and it's a better path. But yeah.
I love it. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, okay, so we start to wrap up. If you have like top 3 reasons, and you've said a bunch here, top 3 reasons why people should start buying organic, what would the big top 3 be?
Well, I mean, human health, planet health, and just overall, I think it's a better way to farm. So, I mean, those would be 3 key things for me of why I support organic every day. And it costs me a lot more than other people probably pay for their groceries, but I think I'm investing in my health and my future generations. So the longer I'm alive and I can impact the next generation, that's worth it to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's the kind of the same old adage, like you're going to pay for your health now or pay for it later. Would you rather pay a little bit more with the organic or pay with doctor's visits and, meds or whatever, So I think it's the right investment.
I rarely ever go to the doctor, knock on wood.
There you go. There you go.
I do periodically get, a cold or flu or something, but I rarely go to the doctor. So
that's it. That speaks to something. I think you're doing it right. So thank you so much for this. I do have one more question I want to ask everybody as we wrap up. But before I wrap up, where can people find out more about Uncle Matt's, about where they can find all of your the juices and everything that you have?
Yeah. So we're on all social platforms from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook. Go to our website, unclemats.com. There is a product locator, store locator on there, and you can put in your zip code, and it'll show stores all around you, because we are nationwide, where you can go out and buy us, and it'll tell you which items are available there. I think Whole Foods and Sprouts nationwide have probably the most selection, or your local health food store, maybe a local food co-op would be awesome if you can support them. If you can't find what you want in your local area, we also have e-com. We will ship it to you. I'll warn you, it's not as won't be as inexpensive as what you'll find locally, but for the people that it's hard to find, we absolutely will ship it to you online. So
love it. Perfect. And of course, I'll have links to all that in the show notes, so I can go check it out and find it at a store near you. And the last question I want to ask you that I like to ask everybody, what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
Wow. Well, for me, I choose it every day with the choices I make around my health and wellness. I mean, for me, I live on purpose from farming organic because I think it's, for everybody's longevity and of course my own.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this and for sharing all this with us. And
you're welcome.
for sharing your wisdom. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Hope. Anytime.